Hello everyone and welcome to Q&A Answers. I didn't get a lot of Q&A questions, but I got enough. Thanks to Bobby Burkett, I got plenty. The first question for Bobby was, how was the Mobile Solutions training? Honestly, Bobby, it was amazing. The training was really cool. I learned a lot about the new products, but I think my favorite part was meeting new people, which usually isn't my thing, but I met a ton of people in the industry that do things their own way. I met Junior from Miami, cool guy. I met Zach from Louisiana. I met Edgar from Modesto. I met Antonio, he's from New Mexico. Really cool guy. It was really interesting to learn how they do things versus we do things versus the other person does something. But the stories still are basically the same. We still have the same challenges. But really, it was a fantastic experience. I definitely would love to do it again. As far as the training goes, learning from Brian was fantastic. Actually, let me go grab my piece. So this is the one that I made. Obviously, I didn't make all the cool laser engraving. But he showed us how to work with magnets, how to do three-dimensional cuts just by using a router. Really cool idea. Escort was cool enough to get the buttons, actual functional buttons in here. Obviously they're not functioning because there's no cable and there's no real screen. But like all the painting techniques, that's some of the stuff he taught us. I decided to go with copper on mine. Everybody else went with silver. I wanted something different. So obviously Brian didn't just show us how to make this so we can make this repeated. It was just to give us ideas for future builds or whatever so we can take this knowledge and use it in different ways. Really great idea. Obviously learning about Escort, Kenwood, and the new Maestro RR2 was really cool. The Maestro RR2 is really, really cool. But it was just a fantastic time. Let's get to your next question, Bobby. Bobby's next question is, tell us about yourself and how you got into car audio, etc. hobbies. Tell me about myself. I was born in California. I lived there for just under 5 years. My family decided to move to Oregon, where I am now. Oregon City actually is where I live. So did my parents. Same house. They lived in the same house since we moved here in 1977. But I got into car audio at the age of 14. My brother went to what's called a convention center show, or is that what it's called? No, they called it the Coliseum sale or something like that. And I bought two 8-inch pyramid subwoofers. And that was great. My brother had a car. He was 16. I was 14. He bought some subs, of course. And past that, nobody knew anything. We got the gear because he bought other gear besides the subs. And then I put it in. I built the box for the subs. I built the box for my subs. And that turned into me building boxes for his girlfriend's subs. And then building boxes for my friend's subs. And it all started with boxes. And then he bought a radio and some speakers from a local, what do you call it, parts supplier, whatever you want to call it, like an O'Reilly's. At the time it was called Shucks. He actually worked there. It was just a deck and two, but he had a 1968 Rebel SST, which in the radio and that, it stands up vertically, which we obviously couldn't put the radio in that way. So I had to build the center console. So I built the center console. It was not attractive, but it held the radio and two speakers. And it just kind of snowballed off from there. I tried to get a job at Stereo King in 1991, but they kept sending me to what used to be the Beaverton store. It's no longer there. Now we have an Aloha store. It's just moved, that's all. And it never really panned out, and then finally in 1994, I went to work for a gentleman by the name of Rich Hines. He owned a place called Installation Specialties. And we worked behind a place called Megatronics, which was a storefront, but we were the installation side of it. I learned a ton from him, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't panning out very well for me. It really wasn't paying the bills, if you will, because the store in front of us wasn't doing that great. So I called Dave Mix, one of the salesmen that still works here. I've been shopping here since like 1988. It was probably 1995, obviously, when I called him and said, hey, I want a job. And then he knew Rich, so we talked to Rich, and I got hired as a troubleshooter. I spent 4 or 5 years as a troubleshooter, in which my opinion every installer should have to start at that. You'll know real quick what not to do, and how to resolve your own problems. And I think that's a fantastic place to start. So I did that for 4 or 5 years, and then I became an installer. I was already fabricating for our company well before that, even when I was just a troubleshooter. Installed full time until 2016. I did leave the company for a short period of time. I went to work, become a real estate appraiser. I was in 2008, 2006, 2008. Somewhere in that ballpark time, and of course it was the worst time in history to try to do that. So I had to come back. I didn't have a choice, which obviously I don't mind. I love Stereo King. But yeah, so 2016, I said I really don't want to be full time in the Bay. I want other, let's do YouTube. And I had pushed YouTube for about 2 years before that. They were never on board. We got a new general manager. He said, "Yeah, go for it. Let's do social media." So I went full-time, not full-time social media. I went part-time social media, part-time sales, and still part-time installer. That has grown to where, as of the beginning of this year, I became manager of the Gresham location. I still obviously do the social media, but I work wherever I have to now. If they need help in the Bay, I just go in the Bay and do that. Obviously, if it's custom fabrication, I'm in the Bay doing that. It's not super common, thank goodness. Fabrication-wise, I would never have time to do anything else. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. As far as hobbies go, I got a wife and 2 kids. There's my hobby. I'm so passionate about car audio. I eat, breathe, sleep it. I mean, I'm thinking about it when I go to bed. If I'm not thinking about that, I'm thinking about this, YouTube, social media. YouTube in general is my favorite. Facebook's cool and all, but YouTube is where I like to be. But yeah, that's me. Let me get to the next question. Another question from Bobby. No problem, Bobby. Jason, if you were designing your own system, what would be your ultimate system? That's kind of hard to say, only because I have to determine what kind of vehicle I'm putting it in. If I'm gonna try to take that out of my head, which is really hard for me to do because it's such a big part of it. The ultimate system. It wouldn't be the Sony radio that everybody thinks is the best, and I'm sure it is the best, but I would still stick with the Kenwood double did of some kind. I'll take the features. Not that it won't sound bad. It'll sound fantastic. It won't sound as good as the Sony, but it'll be so minimal that why? Speakers. Tough call. It's either going to be the new Utopias or something from Illusion Audio. That would be my speaker choices for sure as far as the components go. If you know me, I'm not a giant fan of rear speakers. I don't mind a tiny bit of rear fill, but if they are a predominant part of the system, I can't stand it. Subwoofers, I would stick with whatever Illusion or Utopias. I would try to make them match if I could. As far as processors go, I would definitely have to have a processor. My favorite one we carry is the JL Fix 86, or I'm sorry, not the JL Fix 86, the JL Tweak 88. I probably wouldn't actually choose that though. I'd probably take a Moscone. I'd probably do Moscone amps and Moscone processor. That would be the ultimate system for me, and unfortunately it'd probably be 30 plus hours of tuning. Yeah, I would be very anal retentive about what it sounded like when it got done. And of course, you know me, sound deadening is the most crucial part of any system. If you can't keep your car quiet, you can't keep your car from vibrating, you're throwing your money away. So yeah, that would be it. Thank you, Bobby. Thanks for all the questions, brother. Next question. Derek Stetchman. Hope I said that right, Derek. If I didn't, I apologize. Budget 6x8 for rock. I don't like bright or harsh tweeters. 75 watt max for my amp. Depends what your idea of budget is, Derek. You could either try the new Kenwood Performance Series. That would be something I would consider budget. Realistically, I would prefer to get you into like a Kenwood KFCX 683C, I believe what it's called. 6x8 Kenwood Exelons. They're very smooth. They sound fantastic. I mean, it may not fit your budget. I don't know. If you want like ultra budget, I would do Powerbase 6802s, S6802s. Those are a very smooth sounding speaker. They don't have a lot of dynamics, so they're pretty flat. If you really want something you're going to enjoy, I would look into the Kenwood Exelons. Next question. What would be the best amp for Kenwood Exelon KFC-XP 6903C for active crossovers to put in my 2017 Charger, and where would you put it? Well, if you're going active, you need something with active crossover capability. There's very few 4-channels that actually do that. The only one I could think of that does it, right off the top of my head, is the Kenwood XR401-4 or whatever it's called. Just look up XR401, you'll find it. That one you can go active on, but you're not going to get any time correction of any kind. That stuff's not usually built into any amplifiers. My recommendation is you could buy whatever. You could buy a Kenwood Exelon 302, but get a processor. If you're doing a processor, then that takes care of all the ability to do the active system for you, and you don't have to worry about what amp to get as far as if it's got built-in crossovers designed specifically for active. Where would I put it? Hard to say. If you're doing a processor and you're going to do that, and you're going to do a 4-channel, you could just do a kicker key, to be honest. It's plenty of power to run it. It's 45 by 4 RMS. Yeah, and just feed it from a processor straight into that. Go get yourself a Rockford 360. I will say, I'm assuming you're using the factory radio in a 17 Dodge, because there's not a lot of room for a deck. You will need to use load resistors to keep your radio on. Just do a DSR1. There's only 4 channels of output out of that factory radio, unless you have a factory amplified system to begin with, which I'm assuming you're not. If you are factory amplified, why change it? Honestly, the factory amp in those things isn't horrible. I've run those speakers off of the factory amp in like an 07 Dodge truck, and it had plenty of power. Could we have gotten more? Sure. If you are factory amplified, then you need to grab yourself a Rockford DSR1 and the AR harness for it, and you're done. And then just run it into a kicker key. You can hide that thing just about anywhere. If you're going to do a full-size chassis amp and you want to hide it, you could always ditch the spare tire and do a bunch of stuff back in there. The battery's right there. So that brings this to an end. There wasn't a lot of questions, and hey, that's okay. I appreciate every question you guys do ask, and I try to answer every single one, whether it be this way or if you just leave a comment and I text back to it. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one, and as always, have a great day.